Hello. Welcome to Women in Retail Talks, the podcast where C-suite executive women in the retail space share their stories of professional growth, leadership development, personal journeys, and more. I'm Melissa Campanelli, the co-founder of Women in Retail Leadership Circle, which is a membership-based community of executive women at leading retailers and brands. Today, I'm joined by Tracey Brown, the president of Retail Products and Chief Customer Officer at Walgreens. In her role, Tracey oversees the Walgreens marketing and merchandising teams, and she's also responsible for the Walgreens customer experience across all consumer touchpoints. Tracey has more than 25 years of experience driving business growth, creating omnichannel customer experiences, and leveraging digital capabilities to connect consumers and brands. In this episode, we're discussing Tracey's career, her diabetes journey, and how it helped shape her career, how she motivates and inspires her team, and more. Tracey Brown, thank you for joining me today.
Hi, Melissa. Thank you for having me. Really glad to be here.
Yes, and I should say that we are actually recording live from Shop Talks. We're really excited about that. Nice to be out and about again. As I mentioned a little bit about your background, Tracey, and your current position, but why don't you tell us a little bit about your career journey and how you ended up as President and Chief Customer Officer at Walgreens?
Yeah, so I'll start to try and make this long story short, Melissa. So I am an engineer by training, so I'm a natural-born problem solver. So I tend to run towards big, gnarly problems in my career. I started out on the lab benches of Procter & Gamble, and then from there went back to business school with a focus of finance and marketing. And then that started a journey across a host of industries. I worked in oil and gas and deregulation of the oil and gas industry. I spent time in high tech working for advanced micro devices. I then took what I call a hard right turn with my analytic mind and went into data-driven advertising. And so there is where my love for retail came from. I was the CEO of Rap Dallas, and we were responsible for a large client list of retailers. And so I worked across a number of retailers that we would all know and love, but that's when I fell in love with retail, and Walmart was a client of mine. And I ended up going from, advertising agency side to client side, thinking that this is where I'd kind of retire because I love it so much. Well, Melissa, what I didn't talk about is 18 years ago, I was diagnosed with diabetes. So my diabetes was from gestational diabetes. So for 80% of the women, when you have your child, the diabetes goes away. I was in the 20% minority where it did not go away. And probably, if I'm honest, did not take the diagnosis as probably as serious as I should. So I was on insulin. I was, testing my blood sugars every single day. My beautiful daughter, my husband and I have one daughter. She's now 18. When she was about 5, she looked over at me one day. I was taking my insulin and said, "Mommy, are you going to die from diabetes?" So that was the life-changing moment. And so I became extremely passionate. I made a commitment to her, to myself, to my husband, to my family, that I would not die from diabetes, but I would instead showcase how you thrive while living with diabetes. And that advocacy became a key platform for me while I was at Walmart. And then I joined the national board for the American Diabetes Association. And that advocacy and spending time with that board, being very vocal about what I thought should happen as it relates to people living with diabetes, actually led to the chairman after one of our board meetings saying, "We agree with you, and will you come on board and lead the organization?"
Wow.
That's what jumped me from retail into the nonprofit space, and now coming back to retail, continuing the cause around improving the overall health and well-being of people.
Yeah, I mean, you have so many great women leaders at Walgreens, and I have heard them talk about the importance of health and wellness and well-being, as a mission. can you talk a little bit about, why it's so important maybe to employees today and like what you're doing to help your employees with that mission?
Yeah, I mean, everything, Melissa, as I think about it, is about overall health and well-being. That is when you can be your best self. It is so important for our employees at Walgreens and all, employees all across the country and the world, that if you don't take care of you, you actually can't be your best self for your team, for your organization, for your family, for anyone. So that is why it's so important. And I think at Walgreens, because this is in our DNA, if you really go back to 1901 and Charles Walgreens and why he founded the company, it really was he's a pharmacist. He was a pharmacist. It really was to help people with their overall health and well-being. We've just brought that, it's a deep part of our culture at Walgreens. And so we enable our employees. As you know, I think COVID's taught us all, health and well-being is a personal thing. Melissa, you only know when you need to take care of yourself and what is required for you to take care of yourself. I think one of the things I love about Walgreens is giving people the space and the opportunity to understand, what do I need to do, right? Because it's different for everybody.
Yep, that's so true. And actually, one of my questions was going to be, what do you do personally, to stay healthy mentally and physically? As a leader, you probably, a lot of our listeners are executives, and they might be wondering, what to do for themselves so that they can become better leaders.
Yeah. This is an evolved place, Melissa. I must say that as I have gotten wiser and more experienced, it really is very, very important that you stay balanced. I actually don't say work-life balance. I say whole life balance, and I talk about rings. So I'll share my philosophy on rings. And that is, first and foremost, you have to keep yourself grounded and fed and watered. And again, that's a very personal thing. You have to understand what grounds you and what does feeding and watering you mean. For me, it's my belief in God keeps me grounded. Understanding what feeding and watering actually means. I was so driven as young as I can remember. Like I always knew that I was going to be, become a CEO and, all of these kinds of things, that I didn't even know how to feed and water myself. People would say, what do you do to relax? I'd say, reading Forbes magazine, reading Fortune. They're like, no, really, what do you do? No, it was really business things because I was so oriented. I had to teach myself what it meant to feed and water myself. So here are a few of the things that I do. One is I discovered that water and nature actually brings me calm, allows me to actually get to equilibrium. And so it's not yoga, it's not all the, and I went through this kind of learning process of what it was for me. It's those two things. So whenever we vacation, we're either vacationing as a family, we either go somewhere where there's water or we go to somewhere where there's nature, because I know that those are the trigger points for me. So that's the first ring. The second ring is family. Staying in alignment with your family. And that really means you have to understand what's important to your family and what matters most to them, and then deliver it. So I spent, again, time with my husband and my daughter, and I said to them, each of them separately, if there are one or two things that I could do that would just make mean the world to you and make the difference to you, what are those one or two things? Each of them gave me two things, and I just deliver on those two things. And then the third ring, Melissa, is work. And you have to have them in that order. Self, family, and then work. As a younger person, I had them all wrong. It was work, family, then self. Mm-hmm. So I encourage everyone to keep your rings in order. It only actually makes you more productive. It actually makes you a better human, honestly, when you keep your rings in order. So that's what I do.
That's great. I love it. It's so important. I hope people that are listening take this to heart because it's really important. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit to mentorship. That's such an important topic for our members and our listeners. Most everyone that are our members talk about their mentors, how important they are to them. Has mentorship been important in your career? And if so, can you talk about like a specific mentor you had, and maybe how he or she helped you?
Yeah, mentorship I think is hugely important, as well as sponsorship. Mm-hmm. And for me, the two go together, and they're not quite the same, right? Sponsorship is that person who will be in the room when the next job opportunity or the next level is available, that they will actually speak on your behalf. Mentorship can help you there too, but I believe mentorship goes one step further, which is that is someone who is actually pouring into you to help grow and develop you. And I've always had mentors, and I still have mentors. I think we never stop learning. We never stop growing. Mm-hmm. One mentor and I have a lot. And by the way, both men and women have been mentors in my life. But it's really interesting that I will say Rosalind Brewer was a strong mentor of mine when I worked at Sam's Club Walmart. And the mentorship didn't stop when she went to Starbucks and I was still at Sam's Club. The mentorship didn't stop when I moved on to be the CEO of the American Diabetes Association. But her innate ability to, as busy as she is,
I'm sure,
still make you feel like you're the most important person. Her life experiences and her ability to actually take her life experience and help you understand what you can do to grow and develop. And she does it naturally. Again, seemingly always available, which is amazing given who she is and the roles in these companies that she has played. But yeah, mentorship is important.
And do you do any mentoring now to anyone, like team members or?
Yeah. Again, this has always been a very, very important part of who I am and my ethos. Like I said, mentorship for me started very, very early in school, like grade school. And so I have always taken the opportunity to give back. I've always taken the opportunity to pull someone up, pour into people because people have poured into me. And so I've been mentoring women, men, for a very long time. And again, I think it's a responsibility, actually, Melissa.
As a leader. Yeah, I think that's a great way of looking at it. So one of the things that we think about at Women in Retail is, attracting and retaining female talent in the executive area. And mentoring is a good way, I think, to do that in terms of helping women get into those higher level or higher ranking positions. What do you think companies should do, or do you have any thoughts about that?
I always got thoughts, Melissa. Yes. I mean, listen, we just finished, rounding out International Women's Day with Break the Bias. Just thinking about the fact that we're still talking about Break the Bias, I think is an indication that we all have an obligation and responsibility to do more. I think mentorship is obviously very important. I think that getting underneath a lot of the unconscious bias that exist that are a contributor to limiting the progress of women, those things need to be identified and broken, so to speak. Melissa, if you just think about how promotions happen, just think about your own organizations. Think about the process around how promotions happen. Think about the process of how exposure, how training, how presentations, how going out for the representing your organization. Just think about how all of those things actually happen. The unconscious bias won't be revealed unless and until you've taken the opportunity to think about all of the different ways in which unconsciously women may not be thought of or at the table. I think there's a lot that has to happen from that perspective. It's not just having diverse slates and things of that nature. It is what's considered, I'll take an example, in meetings. What's considered doing a good job in a meeting or sharing your thoughts and concerns in a meeting? What is the standard? Right? You've got introverts, you've got extroverts. If someone isn't, taking the limelight, how do you neutralize all of that? Right? And so it's just simple things like that we have to continue to push for along the entire spectrum of what is required for people to rise in an organization.
Yeah, we call it normalize, but it's the same sort of thing. Having women at our events that are, talking about, profit and loss experience that they've had, just sort of, that kind of stuff. So we're running out of time, but I would love to ask you just on a personal level, what are you most looking forward to this year, either personally, professionally? I mean, I can feel that there's sort of a spring in the air. People are getting out and about more. Like, is there anything that you're looking forward to?
I am. I have personally, my daughter, who's now 18, is a senior in high school. We're now trying to help her decide on college, but this is a very important moment, and she's our only child, and I'm feeling some kind of way, Melissa. I mean, I'm all about, go out, grow, learn, develop, but the truth of the matter is we're very close, and this is a big moment. So that's personally. And professionally, listen, I jumped into Walgreens for one reason. That is to transform this healthcare system and really help improve the health and well-being of all people in this country, doing it at the local level. And I'm excited about what we're doing and where we're going and how we're coming at this.
Yep, and that's the way to start, I think, at the local level for sure. Well, Tracey, it was so great to chat with you today. I'm so excited that we had a chance to meet. And this has been Women in Retail Talks, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at womeninretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Women in Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review. To learn more about women in retail and become a member of this amazing community, visit womeninretail.com. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks.